Hello, fellow Araxians. Commander Cyrious here. Rel broke the news that Nanoweave armor is getting a nerf in one of the upcoming patches. People rejoiced, but then the PlayStation 4 got a patch, and the planned nerf snuck into that version. Turns out it's a 10% movement speed reduction, not what a lot of people were looking for. Let's discuss. Okay guys, so when I started making this video, I spent about 5 minutes on the backstory on Nanoweave, and the reality is, everyone knows it, and if you don't, it's kind of covered in this video that's going to be in the upper right of the screen and down in the description, so I'm not going to get into it. The too long didn't watch version of Nanoweave is that most people want it removed. The most recent polling I did, which is not comprehensive, but the most comprehensive polling Planetside has had in 3-4 years, showed that 55% of people wanted it removed, 45% wanted to keep it. Not quite a super majority, but good enough for me. Here's the thing, most of the discussion around Nanoweave has focused on we want it gone so other suit slots are more meaningful. We want it gone to help the new player experience. We want it gone so that medium range fights don't last as long. And so to players, it's very obvious. Enough people have said loudly enough they want it gone, so that should be it. The problem I see is, since a lot of the discussion has focused around these discussion points, I think the developer's mindset is focused on a way to balance it rather than delete it. Because while 10% movement speed nerf might not be enough, they can tweak it to 20% or 30%. They can tweak it till people decide there's too much of a penalty, and then it is not the best suit slot. It makes medkit dancing harder, and it just generally does not stand out over some of the other options. The problem is a lot of the reasons that come up in discussion to me are not actually what players want to see. We have been playing the same combat meta for 7 years, other than a nerf to range on carbines, ARs, and LMGs, which itself happened, 3-4 years ago now? While the infantry combat is good in Planetside 2, it has also not really changed. And I think people really just want something fresh. They would like infantry combat where you always know the amount of hit points you're going up with. You don't have to guess where that person's wearing flak, ASC, or Nanoweave armor. So while I'll dive into discussion on some of the reasons people have suggested removing it, I don't think those reasons matter. In my opinion, Daybreak Games, Rel, the developers, should remove all small arms resistance from the game for 2 months. Make Symbiote do something weird where it heals you. Make Fortify give you 100 extra health while you're standing still on a point. Remove the small arms resistance on Nanoweave or nerf it to 1%. I feel like the cry from the community on this has been loud enough for long enough that we should just try it. Let's feel it out. There are going to be tons and tons of butterfly effects. All of a sudden, some weapons and their damage tiers will outperform others. It will be an indirect nerf to haul Hesh frag grenades and explosive damage because a lot of people run flak, which is a good thing. And there will be other effects that we aren't really thinking of at the moment. But that's okay. Let's just play it out and see where it gets us. I would hope people can hold off their judgment regarding balancing all the weapons again around the new No Nanoweave meta, but I think it would be interesting to just let people play with an effectively lower time to kill. See the good, see the bad, just try it out. Use the live server as the beta test. So that's my 2 cents. Rel, Daybreak Games, developers, please consider. Now, let me dive into my reservations on the whole idea. Again, I still think it should be done. To me, it's best to run the game as a democracy, and there is a majority that wants to play it this way. And you don't have to commit fully and just say it's done forever, but you should try it out. So, my reservations are that it's not the magic bullet people tout it to be. Call it low skilled, call it bad, call it new, whatever you want, player runs between 10 and 15% accuracy in Planetside 2. A skilled player runs 30 to 40% accuracy. Both of those numbers are actually suppressed a bit by things like long range engagements or just screwing around and shooting walls every now and then. But it's the most concrete data we have to compare. Now, the tippy top players in the game are running between 40 and 45% headshot ratio, and that is the 1% and above. The top 5% of players are really running in the 30% to 35% range. And while it's a difficult stat because that only calculates if the last hit was a headshot, that number would still be a lot higher if even the best players in the game weren't crotch shot kings. Much like adding galaxy spawns into the game, removing nanoweave armor is going to allow really good high accuracy players body shot newbies to death quicker than newbies can body shot them to death. So I get the argument. If you're hitting all headshots, your time to kill does not change. The problem is there's no one that good that's hitting only headshots. So I think it's going to come up a little short as a real fix for the new player experience. But by lowering the time to kill across the board, it gives new players a greater chance to avoid situations where they sneak up on someone, dump some rounds into them, and then that person turns, domes them, and they die. So it will, without a doubt, close the gap somewhat. Is it enough to be meaningful? Well, let's try it out and see. And then I've heard arguments that weapon damage tiers are balanced around nanoweave and 1,000 or just 1,000 without nanoweave. What I see in these situations a lot is people start calculating non-real combat scenarios. You know, when we talk about time to kill, we calculate if every bullet hit the head, which does happen, but it's less than 1% of the combat interactions in Planetside 2. So a lot of the way we talk about infantry battles is sort of not really in touch with the reality of how they go down on live. So to me, yes, if we're playing without nanoweave, there may be a few weapons that do need some tweaking, but it is not something we can't play for a while, just as the weapons are. Next thing, I always think there's going to be a meta slot. People have come up with a lot of other ideas, and who knows, I don't know which one it will be yet. The first one that pops in my head is ASC, because you can get flak armor from the merit deployable. But who knows, we may see more grenade bandos for point sustain. It will be interesting to see how the meta develops. The big thing it will do is bring headshots into a more standard distribution. Right now, with bodies protected by nanoweave armor, headshots are roughly 2.5 times as powerful as body shots. And that effect is generally skewed to a lot of games you see on the market right now. Toning that down will tune it to something players coming into the game are more familiar with. I see where Rel is going with this idea, and I do think nerfing the movement speed will balance it out with the other implants. Eventually, I don't know if 10% would be enough. The problem is it's not going to feel comfortable. Everyone's going to have this sense of FOMO if they're not running it. Well, I don't really like this slot. I'm going to run athlete to counter it when I'm running around in the open at least. But when I don't run it, and I lose a fight where the guy only has one shot left, I know I lost because I had the wrong thing equipped in that slot. Well, I think if you look on the stats in the database, the statistics will start heading the direction you want. People will pick that less, but they will pick it less begrudgingly and uncomfortably. And I think people will feel like they never got the opportunity to actually see the gunplay play out without small arms resistance in the game. And that is what they're really looking for. So anyways, that's my take. Let's give it a try. Please, developers, find it in your hearts. Call it an alpha. Let's see what happens. And in 2 months, if the new player retention or the old player retention or whatever is not going in the direction we want it, let's go ahead and revert it. And I can't see any lasting negative repercussions from that test. Other than, yes, some people will love it and they'll get really mad if you revert it. Okay, fellow Araxians, that is it for now. May the DACA be with you. And until next time, I will see you Planetside.